Hello and welcome to another Modern Commerce Talks. I'm Jack Stratten from Insider Trends. I'm delighted to introduce today Mats Näs, who is Director of Product at Avensia, someone with a real wealth of experience. But specifically, we're going to be talking today actually about the relationship between e-commerce and in-store experiences. And I'm going to kick straight off, Mats, actually with the kind of defining question of this particular session. Which, broadly speaking, is how can you use your e-commerce investment, your existing e-commerce investment, to improve in-store experience? And I want to start off with that question because I just think that's so important for businesses currently who of course are aware that they need to invest time and money into what they're going to do in their stores in relation to online growth and whatever's happening online. But also they're often doing so with pretty limited budgets and with this kind of headache of thinking, well, how do I get more out of what we already have? So let me pass that question to you initially. How can you use your e-commerce investment to improve in-store experiences?
Yeah, so I think you're definitely right in all of those assumptions. And I think that what we've seen during these last couple of years is that so there are different ways of thinking about it. So this last couple of years, I think we've seen a consolidation of smaller stores, perhaps departments that are being closed and moved into a more central location. This, of course, to save money, and also from the way that the users have changed their behavior by doing more shopping online. So the need to go to a store have been sort of reduced. From every year, we see that the online trends are increasing, which means that the customer has more information, they have more options online, etc., etc. So the need to go to a store has sort of decreased, and I think that is forcing a lot of stores to either close their stores or aggregate them towards a bigger store in a mall or something similar. And then we have this pandemic on top of it, of course, which only makes it worse because people are spending less. We have stores that aren't able to keep open in the same way, and people are not going to the store because they don't want to expose themselves. So even though we saw this trend, I think even before the pandemic, it has definitely accelerated during it, forcing retailers to think differently. So with that sort of set, I think also then what needs to happen is that now that the customer isn't really that keen to go to the store, there needs to be a stronger incentive. And what is that stronger incentive? Because if we can buy the same thing online for perhaps a fraction of the price, or at least cheaper, why should I then go to a store, make that hassle to go there? So I think that the store needs to cater to something more than just being another product on the shelf. And here I think the e-commerce investment can actually play a big part, both in making a smarter investment, but also by enriching and enhancing that customer journey. So this could be sort of like really simple things like facilitating and simplifying the in-store pickup, for instance. And together now with the pandemic, that could then actually be enhanced with curbside pickup if you have that ability. And with these e-commerce implementations, you have a lot of strong pillars and information that you could use for your in-store experience, just enhancing that journey and those expectations of the customer. So examples of this then could also be that when you invest in an e-commerce solution, what you want to be looking for, of course, is something that can scale. And I think that if you look at, for instance, some of Avensia's customers, they have invested in a e-commerce solution that can scale to be more than what it just was intended sort of from the start. So while it is a competent e-commerce solution, it can often very easily be tailored to do something other. And it sits on top of these strong pillars of information, sort of like product information. You have your customer loyalty system. You have your perhaps recommendation and personalization engine. And all of these can together be combined to enhance the customer experience. So for instance, we have a customer called Kicks, which took their e-commerce investment and saw that, well, we have transactions in this solution, we have product information, so why not add capabilities and adopt this solution to actually create a self-serve checkout as well. We will add the knowledge of scanning products, getting product information up on your mobile device using the e-commerce solution that we already have, because that e-commerce solution is, of course, tailored towards mobile usage as well. We already have the infrastructure and the payment processes in place. So by just adding those capabilities, you could reuse your e-commerce solutions to create a totally different experience and customer journey, which definitely enhances and supports that sort of online behavior in your stores as well.
Mats, that's really interesting, because I think from my experience of working with different retailers, particularly in relationship to stores, I think there's probably a fairly big assumption, not necessarily among everyone, but that to provide these kinds of connected, whatever you want to call them, sort of these experiences to connect offline and online in a smart way, that you need to invest in new stuff, and you need to address this challenge of, oh, the e-commerce investment I already made is older and isn't going to, the data won't talk to the data on a new offline tech system or whatever. But actually what you're kind of saying is that if you have the right kind of e-commerce framework in the first place, you just build these things on top. Basically, you can just start doing them, and actually pretty easily, a lot more easily maybe than I would assume.
Yeah, so definitely, and I think it comes down to a little bit when you're investing in a system, you should of course invest for what you're targeting. You shouldn't invest in something that's 3 times the price just because you might want to do something in the future. But I think it's also important to look at not putting yourself too much in a fixed box, but saying, well, okay, our business needs to be able to develop with our customers. It needs to adopt, and in that sense, I think also what you want to do is support commerce. So you have your online commerce and you have your physical commerce, and we've seen over the last 10 or more years, perhaps, how these are sort of coming together and becoming one sort of commerce instead. So as long as you make sure, and I think a lot of merchants have these systems already. Like I mentioned, you have your PIM with your data information. Why should that be limited only to your online experience? That should of course be possible to add to your in-store experience as well. So when you're offline, walking around in the store, and you not offline in that sense, but when you're walking around in the store and you see a product on a shelf, then of course you should utilize all that e-commerce information to bring and support your customer in the store as well. So of course, if you can, in an easy and simplified way, look up that specific product that I'm looking on, your e-commerce solution knows so much. It knows all the details about this product. It has probably instructional videos, perhaps. It might have documentation on how to use it or clean it or whatever it might be for sort of product. It has all the product data, detailed information. So if it's hard to read on that box, you could bring it up on your mobile phone. You can see. You'll have user ratings, all the social aspects. If you're just looking at a product on the shelf, you have no idea what other people thought about this. Is it good? Is it bad? What, etc. So trying to leverage that the information that you have from that sense into to the physical store, I think will be very much important going forward here.
That's great. And just, I guess, as a final point, because there's so many, even in relation to how people can get more from their existing e-commerce investment, how they can get more from that to support in-store experiences. There's so many different things that they could do. But just as a final thing, what would maybe be your sort of 1 or 2 quick wins that you would say for if I'm a retailer or a B2B business, whatever, if I'm thinking, right, I need to do whatever e-commerce platform I've got, what are the kind of, generally speaking, the 2 simplest, quickest things you think a lot of businesses could do to get more out of that initial investment? What can they do to enhance the store experience from what they're already doing online in the simplest ways?
I think they should consider commerce rather than online and offline commerce. We should definitely look at the customer as one complete journey. You shouldn't look at what are our customers doing online and what are they doing in the store. You should look at what are they doing. How can we support them today everybody is starting their journey online. Everybody, both any age and a demographic, and the pandemic has really put the deep tracks in this, because now people have been forced. The small group that weren't doing it before have been forced to do it now, and they have realized that this is really good. This is really good. It's really simple. Perhaps not all, but a lot of stores are doing it in a sort of good way. So they always start their customer journey online. They'll do a lot of research. So try to figure out, how can I bring that journey into my store? How can I support it? Can I add physical SKU location on my e-commerce so that it's available for the customer when I walk into the store? Can I add a wish list functionality to my store so that when the customer is adding something to my wish list, they can bring that up when I'm in the store, and I can easily see, okay, it's in aisle 3 on shelf B. So that's, I mean, there are so many different touch points, but I think that's the key thing. Think about this as one journey where the customer is supported. Of course, simple things like your order history. Your order history, the online store knows who you are. It knows your behavior. It knows what you bought. It knows what you've been interested in. That information should be available in the store as well, both for me as a customer on a personal level, so that I can see, well, this is what I bought, and now I'm in the store. I wonder if it's on sale. It might be on sale in the store that I'm in. But also from a stock point of view in the store, if I can get to know who you are, if you can identify yourself, then I can get so much information about you, not from a terrible way, but from a supportive way. I can see, what did you buy last? Okay, you bought a medium last, so I don't think you should go for the large. Okay, I see that you bought this gray one, so I'm not sure if that orange tie will go well with it, but I think that this one would suit you. Or I see that you have this this camera in your wish list. You know that we have it on sale, or we have memory cards for that one that's on sale now. I think perhaps that would be something. And when you tie this together, it also goes the other way. So if you can merge these and you can have your in-store orders into the e-commerce, then all of a sudden you get a much bigger data for interacting with your customer, supporting your customers by sending relevant marketing, saying, I saw that you bought this camera. Do you know that we have this telegraphic lens on a reduced price now? I think that would be really relevant for it. And I think that when you tie this together, you can get really relevant with the customer. You can get the correct information that's important for me at these different situations, both online before the store, supporting me in the store, but also supporting me after the purchase.
Yeah, I think that's a really good note to finish on, because it seems to me that is probably the most important thing of all, is whether it's order history or not, this idea of us thinking of commerce as a unified thing, or whatever we want to call it, and not getting stuck in these places of thinking about omni-channel, multi-channel, offline, online, whatever. And maybe that's one of the most positive things, I don't know, that will come out of the pandemic. People are just going to start to expect, well, this has to be thought of this way, because customers aren't going to think of it any other way. They're shopping, right? Wherever they're shopping, they're shopping.
I mean, the pandemic has matured our not our online shopping, but our commerce or our shopping in a multiple of years. So I think that we will be expecting, and also we will be, we won't just go back to, well, now the pandemic is over, so I'm going to go back to the store and look at shelf after shelf after shelf in a big mall. No, I've seen the advantages of online shopping. I've seen that I can buy stuff on Amazon and Alibaba or whatnot. So I think the stores in the future are anyway going to have to step up a few notches and really support that customer journey. And you probably sit on so much information, and also think about the capabilities of a modern e-commerce site now. with relevance, with recommendations, personalizations. We know who you are, we know what you bought. It sounds really scary, but if you use it in a good way, that kind of information is really supportive for me also when I'm in the store.
Yeah, and it's just a vast, untapped resource in most cases. I couldn't agree more. Mats, thank you very much for your time on this subject today. That's all we have time for this latest in the Modern Commerce Talks series. I'm going to do another one with Mats again soon, so tune in for that. Thanks very much.
Thank you.